On my first day as a reincarnated black dragon, I wanted to eat my two unhatched sisters. Heck, even Dragon Mom looked delicious and had me drooling. All because I awakened this cheat ability called Feast, which lets me get stronger by devouring things non-stop. So the scent coming off Dragon Mom was just too tempting to resist. But looking at her massive body and razor-sharp claws, I finally calmed myself down. Day 2. My two dragon sisters were about to hatch. These newborn dragon sisters gave me this incredibly appetizing feeling, like I wanted to take a bite right then and there. Once Dragon Mom left, I strutted over to my sisters and shamelessly grabbed some of their eggshell fragments. After all, I needed to prep for my next feast. Ziluo tried to resist, so I casually pinned him down and grabbed the biggest shell piece. Seeing this, Qingxuang quickly gathered her eggshells into a pile and started scarfing them down like crazy. I couldn't have that, so I grabbed Qingxuang by the neck, shoved her aside, and picked out the biggest shell from her pile too. After eating my own eggshell earlier, I'd already gained one feast stack. Now I had to stockpile food during the cooldown period. So I stashed the stolen eggshells with that half-magical beast carcass from before, waiting for my next feast to kick in. The two sisters quickly finished their own eggshell scraps and then stared at the distant beast carcass, drooling. Ziluo finally couldn't take it and instinctively crept toward the meat. Qingxuang was watching, and just as Ziluo was about to pounce, I grabbed him by the neck and tossed him aside. Mother prepared this for all of us. You can't hog it yourself. Ziluo glared at me furiously. You think Mother cares about this stuff? I ignored Ziluo's threat and he fell silent. Chromatic dragons barely have family bonds. Dragon Mom mostly doesn't bother with this kind of thing. At this point, I felt like maybe I'd gone a bit too far. So I tore off 2 chunks of meat. This should be enough for you guys. If not, go eat some dirt. The two little dragons were still pretty pissed, but they had no choice but to accept it. Ziluo ate his meat viciously. Qingxuang kept glancing at her big bro while eating, and I was thinking about this Feast talent. Feast doesn't just work on meat. Earlier when I saw Dragon Mom's treasure hoard, I felt this intense craving, not the possessive urge dragons normally have, but actual hunger. The delicious smell coming from those treasures proved it. A day later, Feast finally activated. That familiar hunger spread through my whole body. I rushed to the beast carcass and started feasting like crazy. The Feast progress bar started climbing. After finishing all the beast meat, the progress bar was still stuck at 90%, and I felt even hungrier. I turned toward my two little sisters, eyeing them hungrily. Ziluo and Qingxuang instinctively shrank back. Big bro seemed terrifying right now. I forced myself to ignore the delicious scent from my sisters and focused on the beast bones instead. I grabbed the cartilage and ribs and started devouring them. Under my frenzied gnawing, the feast progress finally hit 100%. I found a random spot in the cave, away from Dragon Mom and my sisters, and watched my body slowly grow larger. My scales got harder, claws and teeth sharper, limbs became bulkier. The brief transformation finally ended. I could feel it. My bone and muscle density had massively increased. I figured I now weighed more than both my little sisters combined. Day 3. Food in the cave was running low. Dragon Mom still wasn't hunting, so for my next feast, I had to go hunt myself. I left the cave. There were obstacles everywhere outside. Regular beasts and magical creatures didn't dare come close, so to hunt I had to go farther from the nest. I headed deep into the forest. In a dense part of the woods, 5 shadow wolves were eating a horned deer carcass. I hid behind some bushes watching them. These shadow wolves were ferocious beasts, not magical creatures yet, but still not to be underestimated. I weighed our combat power and figured I could take them. I crept closer and bit straight through the throat of the nearest shadow wolf. It let out one cry and collapsed. The other 4 wolves, including the alpha, were totally stunned by my ambush. The alpha didn't attack immediately. He bared his teeth and kept snarling, weighing our strength. Seeing my jet black scales and wings, the alpha recognized me as a black dragon, but just a hatchling. The moment he assessed the gap between us, the alpha howled and the other 3 wolves surrounded me. I still had the dead wolf in my jaws, its warm blood flowing into my belly. I felt a surge of excitement, something inside me awakening. I looked at the 4 wolves, released the corpse, planted both front claws on it, spread my wings, and let out a dragon's roar. At the alpha's command, 3 wolves charged. I met them head on and slammed into one. It got sent flying instantly and I could faintly hear bones breaking. The other 2 wolves took the chance to bite at my neck and wing. I pinned down the one going for my throat. My sharp claws pierced straight into his body. My fangs clamped onto his spine, and with a crack, the wolf's spine snapped clean through. But another wolf had grabbed my wing. The scales there weren't thick enough to stop its teeth and got punctured. Right then, the alpha charged at me, his powerful jaws aimed at my throat. I coldly raised my head. Been waiting for you. A cone of acid sprayed from my mouth, covering the alpha's entire face. He was blinded now, rolling on the ground in agony. After spitting the acid, I quickly pinned the wolf biting my wing to the ground and snapped its neck with one bite. Then this cool sensation spread through my body. My punctured wing was slowly healing. I knew this was my carnivore talent kicking in. Looking at my spoils, I felt pumped. Sure, shadow wolves are pretty low-tier predators, but taking them down almost unharmed as a hatchling? Pretty impressive. I started devouring the wolf corpses. Non-magical beast meat just doesn't hit the same. Too bad Feast wasn't off cooldown yet. By my estimate, these 5 wolves plus that deer wouldn't be enough to complete my 3rd feast stack. Just then, a wild boar over 3 meters long emerged from the shadows and let out a low growl at me, eyeing all the corpses hungrily. I glanced up at it and kept eating the wolf. Just an opportunistic boar, a ferocious variant, nothing I couldn't handle. Seeing I wasn't reacting, the boar got bolder. It crouched low and approached a wolf corpse, trying to drag it away. I stopped eating and walked toward the boar. It immediately dropped the corpse and bolted. Smart boar. After confirming I wasn't injured, it chose self-preservation and bailed. I didn't eat all the wolves, just 2. The rest I hid in the poisonous swamp. After wandering around a bit to familiarize myself with the area, I headed back to the lair. Qingxuang and Ziluo looked totally dejected, occasionally glancing toward the back of the cave. Dragon Mom still hadn't gone hunting. I'd been hoping to eat more high-tier beast meat too. When I passed by Qingxuang, she sniffed the air. Big bro, there's a bloody smell. You totally went hunting. Thinking about this, she perked right up. Big bro, did you go hunting? So what if I did? I lazily glanced at her. Actually, when you went out yesterday, I snuck out too. You dared to go out? I looked at Qing Shuang in surprise. How'd this little squirt dare? A few shadow wolves could have ended her. I found a really good spot with tons of prey. I want us to set up a temporary lair there together. She knew staying here had no future. Sure, true dragons can survive eating dirt, but if there's meat, who wants to eat dirt and tree roots? Not interested right now. I looked at Qing Shuang half-heartedly. Not even magical beasts? Qing Shuang looked shocked. Magical beasts? What magical beasts? Now I was interested. Dragon Mom's been living here so long there aren't any magical beasts around. I wanted to follow you, but I lost you. And then I found a magical beast. A ground hunter bear. Seriously, you were tailing me? Seeing my fierce look, Qing Shuang quickly added. Actually, after you left the nest, I totally lost your trail. Adult ground hunter bears are tier 5 magical beasts. Only young adult dragons can take them head on. How could hatchlings like us possibly handle one? That ground hunter bear should be injured. I saw it bleeding a lot and it probably hasn't reached tier 5 yet. I thought for a moment. Feast was about to come off cooldown, meaning I needed to prep for it. Alright, let's check out this bear. Let's go. Qing Shuang happily followed behind. Since Dragon Mom hadn't hunted in days, I had no choice but to hunt magical beasts myself for my next feast. Sure, hunting as a hatchling was risky, but luckily the beast my sister mentioned was badly injured. Worth a shot. Right now, in a forest on the outskirts of the poisonous swamp, Qing Shuang and I moved silently. You sure the bear's here? We've been walking forever. All I see are trees. I swear I ran into it here. Qing Shuang was getting anxious too. I thought for a second, then spotted a horned deer in the distance. With a sudden strike, the deer didn't even react before I snapped its neck. Watching my clean kill, Qing Shuang swallowed hard. Is this for us to eat? Nice try, this is for the bear. I skillfully gutted the deer, and immediately the bloody scent spread everywhere. Ground hunter bears have insanely sharp noses. If it's still in this area, it'll definitely come. Alright, you can eat now. Seeing Qing Shuang's eager look, I said. She quickly got what I meant. I'm the bait? Unless you want me as bait and you ambush the bear? Never mind, I'll do it. Qing Shuang started eating the deer, glancing around nervously. After a while, a massive shadow slowly approached. I could clearly see the creature, a huge brown bear, but it looked rough with half a black arrow stuck in its neck. This ground hunter bear was definitely injured, probably ran into some mercenary group. The bear's eyes locked onto Qing Shuang and the deer. Instinct told it, eating that little dragon would give huge benefits. Finally, it couldn't resist. It crouched low and charged like a tank. Qing Shuang had barely taken a few bites when the sudden movement startled her. Seeing the charging bear, she didn't even swallow the meat in her mouth and instantly bolted. The injured bear moved awkwardly but still charged determinedly at Qing Shuang. She suddenly realized she'd been cornered against a rock wall. The bear reared up on its hind legs. Standing upright, it was over 5 meters tall, looking absolutely intimidating. Big bro, save me! Qing Shuang felt so small and helpless right now.